Hello, hello. Happy, what day is it? Wednesday. You think I'd remember? I had like 5 meetings today. But how is everybody? I hope you are well. Welcome to day 5 of Scrappy Tales. I guess you couldn't see my fifth finger. There you go, 5. And we are going to jump into it because it will be pretty fun. This is what we made during day 4. It is the large teardrop ornament, at least according to the creator of this advent calendar, which compares to the small teardrop. This is actually one of my favorites, and I think yes, it's true. So this top piece I think is the same size. No, I'm wrong. It's almost the same size, but you could always cut 2 of these and cut this off if you wanted to do this overlay. Anyway, that is what we did yesterday. We are using on Sunday. I cut a whole bunch of the current sheet load of cards, so we've been using those since I did that in a Christmas pattern. And Lennox is here, except he is off screen. If you are friends with my friend Danny or in any of her group, she posted a lovely picture of her cat Alyssa, who is another fabulous crafting cat. And she is apparently taking cues from Lennox to sit on the desk and be all up in the business while the crafting is happening. So that's always fun. So it's a funny story about day 5, though. Let me see if I miss. Oh, and hello, everybody. I didn't say good. I popped up your comments, but didn't say hi. Hello, Crystal. It is fabulous to see you. Hey, Jana. I actually caught your live stream on the replay, and that was a lot of fun. And Danny is here as well. Yes, we are. Lennox is teaching cats things they shouldn't do, which seems totally fitting given his personality. But he always likes to hang out and craft as well, or sit on things that I need to craft. This is the Scrappy Tales calendar. I did have someone on the social media, and you see, day 5 is a very large day. Whatever could be in a large day. Someone on social media asked me about where this calendar was, where to get this. I believe these are still available on Scrappy Tail Crafts, which is a site run by Sabrina. And I think the cat, I guess he didn't knock my camera. Anyway. But if you're looking for the ornament thing and don't want to necessarily have 12 of them, there are a lot of standalone ornaments that are available, including one a release I really like that I think it was either this year or last year's Christmas in July. It's a retro collection, which has a lot of really cool trees. So let us see if we can pop into this. We might actually have all the things we need. So we have a tree today, or maybe we don't. The interesting thing about day 5 is that, and there is a star. I think there's one more. Let me sneak in here and see. I believe there's a decorative star hiding out somewhere. Here it is. And we also have the detail star. Anyway, if you watch Cordelia, our friend here's videos, she has a different day 5 because day 5 and 12 are swapped in some of the calendars. So if you are watching people's content and you're like, whoa, that's not day 5, it is. There are just a few different day 5s available. So this is exactly the same as the last few. We have our detail plate, which is really pretty this time around. I mean, it was last time too, but these swirlies are really neat. And then we have our base piece. And I thought it would be fun, since we didn't do it last time. Well, 2 things. One, I wanted to try. Sabrina's mother did this really interesting navy and gold color scheme that I haven't seen before, so I think we'll do it that way. And then I had a couple different pads that had some navy adjacent ones. This is a Simple Stories that was a freebie from scrapbook.com. And this has both the zigzag pattern, which is a little busy. I don't really want to take away from... it does have a tree pattern, which is kind of nice if we want to do trees. That's a good option. But I didn't really want to take away. Ooh, this is kind of I like this one. This let's do this one. This is, we'll lose some cut aparts, but that's fine. Yeah. I can live with that. But I really like this. And it's going to be non-directional. So what I thought we could do is play around with this as a base. This is not part of the calendar, obviously. This was released. I think it was released as part of her butterfly collection, which was a spring collection. Although I guess we have a lot of friends from Florida, so technically, it could probably be any other time of the year too. And is he on them? Sir, are you on my... one of the several wire cutters I have. So I'm probably not going to use these detail pieces, so I'm just going to cut them off. But I do want... oh, there we go. I do want these inner pieces, so I'm going to cut them out. But you don't have to. Obviously, you could leave if you wanted this to be open. We're going to cut 2 of these, and they're going to be our base. But I am going to cut these out. Maybe. Or maybe not. That is a hard one to get to. Uh-oh. Let's not be somewhat careful. Yeah. There we go. Don't want to cut the actual die apart. That would make life not great. Oh, Kaiser is here. Kaiser says hello, too. But we will try to be mostly on time today. Like most Wednesdays, I believe my friend Elizabeth is streaming. She may be streaming now because I got a notification, I think, that she was live. But she is streaming at 6 o'clock, as is Sabrina. She's a day ahead of me, which has actually worked out pretty well because some of the dies shifted in transit. So, knowing what the actual thing what dies are supposed to be in today's has been pretty handy. There we go. So there are our details, and then we just need to get one more off. I did not realize these dies were together, or I would have cut this off camera. But we will try to be mostly on time. Uh-oh. Let's not maim ourselves on the die pieces. No bleeding on camera. I believe that's a crafty rule of somebody's. Let me see if I can't get in here a little bit. If not, there we go. Sometimes these are... there we are. Oops. I almost made myself. Hopefully not. There we go. Alrighty, so we have our detail pieces. And we have this guy. So I think I'm going to cut this in half. And this is Knight of Navy. This is Stampin' Up! Cardstock, so it is pretty beefy. And I made myself slightly, but basically we just need to cut out 2 of these as the base pieces. If I can... here is have our black left over from last time. Oh, yeah, she goes live in an hour, so we should ideally be done by 6. Hopefully. We've been pretty good about that. So I think we can get 2 out of this, and then I'll show you, and then we can cut the detailed layers and then we will cut our trees and then cut our layers. So I'll cut everything, and then can put things together. While we're doing navy, I guess we can just cut all of our navy layers. So this is our first navy layer, and it puts the score lines in, which is nice. We have our second navy layer there. Then I'm going to grab the other half of this sheet, and I'm going to see if we can't cut our 2 tree bases. In terms of not dropping things on the floor, that's a good idea. But in terms of an A2, these will fit on an A2. It is going to take up basically the whole thing. So this would be a really great one to do for that. You can also do a half honeycomb, which we haven't done yet, so that the honeycomb is actually glued open on the front of the card. I think we should try that, definitely. That would be a fun one to try, and then we could do interesting things with glitter on it. Or not with glitter if Pam is here. We could use paste, too. See if I'm missing anything. Nope. And I wanted to say thanks for everybody for coming, because I know that this is sort of not our normal time slot, but it has been a lot of fun. And I think, did I just drop? I feel like I just dropped something on the floor. I'll have to check that in a second. Alrighty, so here we go with these 2 pieces, which should match the base perfectly because they're the same. And then I think we can line this up. I think we want to make sure that this I think we'll be okay with, because I'm going to just line the bases up and see. Since this is non-directional, I think we're going to be pretty much okay. Except that I lost one of those pieces. Oh my, let me see if I can find that one die quick. Goodness. Make sure I didn't put it somewhere obvious. I don't think so. Let me just see if I can find a flashlight, because I don't know where that went. That is interesting. It's always like, is it like on you or somewhere weird? I guess we don't need it because these are, Well, they might be inverses. Let's see if these are the same size or not. Or we could just skip doing pattern paper. Uh, yeah, I don't think these are exactly the same. So let me see if I can't find a magnet. Let me see if I can't grab a flashlight quick. Well, I don't see it. I might actually need to change my plan. Oh, here it is. Always the last place you're going to look for it, right? Okay, let's cut this before we lose it again. So I'm going to cut 2 sets of these as well. Goodness gracious. Oh, thank you, Jan. I appreciate it. Let's just flip this. Hope we don't lose these again. Pretty much everyone on YouTube is always likes it if you like their stuff. And this one die tried to jump away. Anyway. There we go. Okay, I think we're. Oh, we still need to cut sparkly paper, but that's okay. That shouldn't be too tricky. So we have our 6 little pattern paper pieces. Now, just to put our die away for safekeeping, or our dies. We don't need to lose more paper. And this is pretty paper efficient, actually. So what's going to happen is, as you can probably guess, like these pieces are going to mat on top of this layer. So I think this is going to look really pretty and be sort of a more winter than Christmas kind of card. Although we're going to put a tree on it. So, I mean, that may not be, I guess it's kind of hard to be not Christmas with a Christmas tree. Although, you could not put a guitar on this and it could be, some other sort of tree. But that reminds me, I should cut our, whoops, goodness, I'm dropping everything today. I should cut one out of navy so that it matches all the other things. And there aren't actually like smaller versions of this tree, but you could cut this out of like a white and then just sort of trim it out a little bit to give yourself a place to write a message if you wanted to. Alrighty, now we just need to cut all the sparkly stuff, which is kind of my favorite part. And I do really like the Michaels foil paper because it's actually paper all the way through, so it's easier to die cut. And because it's not foil on both sides, it'll glue really nicely. Although sometimes you mangle it trying to get it out of the new pack. But see, it's gold on one side. I'll try not to blind you. But on the other side, it's just like craft, essentially. And because it's not perfectly mirrored, it's a lot more forgiving with glue fingerprints, which is always kind of an issue for me. It may not be for you, but usually I have some trickiness with not getting glue on everything when I am trying to glue things like this together. And much like our other decorative layers that we've been playing with all week, the piece of paper will basically stick in here, but then you can weed it out quite easily. At least I say that now. The ones with the tabs are pretty easy, honestly, because you can always grab it by the tab, and like no one's gonna ever really see the tab. So then we have our look how pretty. So let's see if we like this color scheme before we cut the rest of this. Ooh, that is kind of nice. Very sparkly. You have one of those. We are going to need to go back with our other tool and poke out all the bits, obviously. But I will just grab that, and you can see how really neat this looks. With something like this that's pretty intricate, you can also weed it from the back because sometimes it's easier to see which pieces need a little help. There we go. And when this is done out of foil, it's actually curled, which is a little bit interesting. They usually don't, but when these are done out of foil, and these are here, now you can really see how like fancy this looks. It is glaring a lot in the light because it's so mirrory. But we have one, and we can use our little tool to hopefully get most of the other stuff out of here. Probably don't need to be perfect, but if you leave the little bits in the dies, then the next time we run it through, it's probably not going to cut as nicely. That is probably okay. You can also bang your dies to get these out. I know some people who sort of just toss their dies, although I've never quite gotten the hang of that. This one, if you do that, it'll help kind of get the bits out. Actually, let me move my mirror for a second. There's that one. This one seems to require a little more work to get all the little pieces out, but I don't know. These are pretty big pieces, so they're not too bad actually. Ah, no. The cat was trying to eat my fancy piece. That would certainly not do. We need that, sir. That's the piece that makes our card look pretty. Now he's interested in it again. We will have to hide it. Hopefully we'll remember where that is later. Although Sabrina did kind of warn us that these sort of become cat toys. So we will put that there. Let me just grab the other pokey tool and poke a few of these out. They have a couple at the top. The nice thing about these pokey tools is they are pretty narrow, so it's a lot easier to get some of this stuff out. There's that one. There's that one. I don't know. Do you guys have any secrets for getting the little bits and pieces out? I have heard that you can use um, wax paper too, or put printer paper on top of things to help with some of these finer dyes, and like so that weeding them isn't as much of a endeavor. But I think we're pretty close here. This should be okay. We'll see though. If it's not, we will survive. Hey Delise, how are you? Oh, he might be learning things from Alyssa. He thinks everything is a cat toy, so I mean, I don't think that's news to anyone. These certainly cut through. Can move this over to the side. It would be cool though if there was a slightly smaller version of some of these, so that you could like inlay a white piece. I haven't looked at the full catalog of all the stuff Scrappy Tail sells, so that I don't think these are. I don't recall seeing these anything like these designs before. So I don't know, but I'm sure you could find something festive. You could also, because these have a score line, if you did cut these out of something like just a layering white, so that you'd have a place to write a message. There are probably ways you could. Ooh, so pretty. I like these. Then out this pops, and hopefully the cat doesn't try to use it as a cat toy. We'll just get all the little pieces out of here. These this cut really nicely, so these are falling out pretty easily. Cleaning the die was a little more work, but it's nice to not have to clean the die and your die cut. Although that rake tool I was using before, I think you can also use over some of these things. If you do glue it down and then find a weird piece later, you can usually just use your pokey tool and peel the piece up, and no one will really notice with a more intricate design. So, how pretty is that? These are like really pretty trees. Anyway, now basically, we're probably doing well. So it took us about half an hour to cut all this stuff, but basically we just have to glue it all together now. So let us do let's do our star, and then we'll do the tree, and then we'll let that dry and just put a weight on it, and then work on our base. But it should be pretty easy. Um, and we do have this nice tab to hold on to, which I'm a big fan of. And I'm just sort of dotting glue on here. You don't really need full coverage with something like this. And I do kind of like to pick these up and just sort of futz with them in my hand a little bit, just to make sure that they are there. Calm down. Just to make sure they are lined up. And what you can do, at least what I like to do, is I like to grab a baby wipe just to sort of dab anything off the foil surface. And there you can see sort of what it looks like on the back. As the glue dries, basically it will. Well, it looks pretty good now. As the glue dries, it will dry clear. But this is going to be a very sparkly tree by the time we're done. There. You don't need to sit on. Please don't sit on my pieces that I need. Thank you. Maybe he is learning from Alyssa in terms of sitting on things that are needed for crafting. Alyssa always seems like she has a particular opinion about where she should be sitting. And for those of you who don't know, Alyssa is my friend Danny's cat, and she is a cat of the internet, much like Lennox. There we go. Now I'm just going to get any excess glue off. That is the nice thing. I use a PVA glue called Lineco, but Barely Arts is the same, where the glue itself is water soluble. So you can get all the glue smudgies off, and then you basically have a really sparkly star. And we're going to go make two more really sparkly trees. So the neat thing about these dyes, at least from my perspective, is like they go together quite quickly. This Michael's Glitter cardstock definitely got bent a bit, which is unfortunate. Not awful, but I don't know if a heavier weight would cut better. I suspect it's just the whole process of using the die cut machine. But as you can see, this is going to be a little tricky to work with. I'm going to get the bottom down first. And these are pretty easy to line up just because they are they totally align. So what I'm going to do is see if we should just need to, don't do what I did and mangle your die cut. So we may need to peel that up to try and get that back down. I think we'll be okay. I'm just going to tack it down with a little bit more glue, and this time let's grab a block. To provide a little weight here. And you can get this glue off like once it's down too. So this isn't going to be too big of a deal. We just want to be careful sort of how we rub anything, just because of how these little swoopties are pretty easy to pull up. As you can see, I'm just going to get any glue off my block that I have down. And how are we doing? We are pretty good. There are a few pieces. Anything that's like pulling up, I'm just going to press down. I didn't put glue entirely all over the surface. So as you can see, it still looks pretty cool. I'm just going to tap because I want to make sure that the decorative layer is glued down. And Kaiser is meowing for some reason. Well, not really meowing, just sort of yowling a bit. I'm going to be a little delicate with this one. I was not initially. As you can see, it's not glued down here because I didn't put glue. So we're just going to put a little glue right there. And then we can just put our weight down. So this one is more fussy. The other dies don't have pieces that can lift up. So this one is a little bit fussier in that way. By which I mean, you could see, like, I think when we glue our second tree, I'm going to be a little more liberal with the glue than what I was on the first one. Because what's happening, is that some of these swirly parts, because they're not connected, will lift up, basically. Like this one here, right? You can see how this is just sort of lifting up because we don't have glue there. So I will just go in and put a little more glue. And because the back of this paper is porous, it glues pretty, like it'll tack down within a few seconds. And you can manipulate the paper a little bit with your hand to kind of help it along. Anyway, here's the first one. We learned some lessons for next time. Oh, this is another piece lifting up here. I do think some of this was me as well for just being a little too aggressive out of the gate. Anyway, and let us just push it down with the weight again. There we go. What you can do if you are waiting for something like this to dry, well, you can flip it over and wait it from the other side if you want. But you don't actually need anything too fancy. Like here, I can just use a stamp set I have and my tape, and I could just weight it down like that. And, you know, it doesn't need a lot of weight to dry. It just needs a little time. And then once the glue is adhered, then you don't really have to be as careful with it. So just FYI, it's not like a forever thing. It's just a while we're getting it together thing. So we have one done. We will grab the other one that we rescued from being a cat toy. This time I'm going to be more liberal with the glue, I think. I'm still going to hit the center score line and the edges because they are going to be the primary thing that holds us together. But since we had some issues with the... That's a piece that was supposed to weed out. Anyway, we had some issues with some of these little squigglies, so I'm going to make sure we hit them. Squigglies is probably not a technical term here, but you know. And we can do the same thing we did before in terms of wiping the glue off, so I'm not super worried about getting the surface of this gluey because it's gonna kind of happen whether we want it to or not. The other thing you could do when cutting something like this is you could just use sticker paper on the back of it, which potentially would make it adhere down more easily. So let's just, whoops. There's this. Going to, and part of this is also the foil. So like, I think if you could theoretically also build up a couple layers. Just gonna make sure we have good contact here before I worry about cleaning it up. But this is really the only fussy part of this particular project. And once you work with a die, you can kind of understand what direction all these bits go in. And then when you're cleaning it, you can be a little more careful. I mean, you know what's together and what isn't. Like these curly cues are sort of separate. And I just want to get, basically, I don't really care about any of the glue that's sort of in the on the blue layer. I only care about the stuff that might show as on the metallic. And it may look a little wonky initially, but then basically as you let it sit, it should dry. As you see, we did a better job on our second layer than on our first. And if we wind up with like, these little pieces popping up, we can always go back in and glue them. Like this one here seems like it's gonna want to sort of pop up. So we're just gonna go in there with an itty bitty bit of glue. Hey Gloria, how are you? You're futzing with detailed dies, which is, I don't know, one of those things. If you're looking for a more chill project with this tree, making a honeycomb ornament is a lot easier. Anyway, this is probably the hardest part. So we have our two sparkly trees done. So now all we really need to do, I will set these to the side just to let them finish drying. We do have our star. And then we just have to look at these pieces. And these will score along the score lines, which you probably didn't need me to tell you. The thing that's a little interesting here is you're actually going to glue these surfaces together. And then what you get is, well, I'll show you in a second. So you get this pop-up base. And the reason these hooks exist is so you can put a rubber band between them if you want the base itself to pop up when you pull it out of the envelope. So basically what we're going to do is glue these pieces back to back, and then we're going to get this neat hexagonal base piece. That our trees will sit on. And I think these aren't really designed to go together per se, but I think they'll work quite nicely. And if you are interested in using the rubber band mechanism, you kind of want to make sure that this hook here is free so that you can get a rubber band in it. I'm not planning to do that, but just FYI, if you're using any of these like pop-up things that have rubber band hooks, it's easy to get glue in here, and then the rubber band hook isn't really a hook anymore. And I am just layering the two hooks on top of each other, basically. And this is adhering quite quickly because our glue is awesome. And so this is how it looks collapsed. And then if you had a rubber band, it would just pop up, and then you have basically this fun little decor piece. And we're going to just decorate it, and then we're basically going to just glue our tree here, and then glue the tops together with the star in the middle. And we will be mostly done. It is. So basically what happens is like this is how the card would ship in an envelope. But then when the recipient pulls it up, the rubber band will pull these two hooks together, and then it'll just pop itself back up. So sometimes with some of these 3D projects, it's nice if they if they pop themselves up when you pull them out, just because like then the recipient doesn't really have to like know how it all goes together. And then we just need to figure out where our little decorative pieces fit. These are not symmetric. Well, these are not entirely symmetrical, so you have to be, as you can see, the angles here are not the same. So it's good we found the die. If we had just cut two, it wouldn't have worked as nicely. And certainly you could, if I had cut these out of a scene paper of some sort, this would be kind of neat to give it a grounding as well. But I think this is going to look pretty fun. But I always like working with non-directional paper because then it's not like super duper complicated to try and figure out how it goes together. But after you work with something like this a few times, obviously these are not matched, but you can't really tell because of the way the paper works. And I should go and pick up some rubber bands. I can show you I will see if I can't grab a rubber band tomorrow so I could show you how these work, because I don't think I have any in my house, oddly. Oh, no worries. You probably just missed me trying to glue detailed layers badly. Well, they were, it was a little bit of a struggle bus. But these ones, now that these are together, this is pretty straightforward. The other thing you could do is you don't need the detailed layer. Certainly, you could always do the detailed layer out of. You could just skip it entirely and then just do like a tree that's more, I don't know, just green or blue or whatever color you want. You could do a simpler tree, certainly as well. But this looks pretty cool once it's decorated. It's a little bit damp, so I'll be trying to be somewhat careful with it. But basically, we can figure out where we want our tree. We could mount our tree just like this, which these will look like that will work. I think I'm going to mount it a little bit up, so like when this ships, these corners are protected, but then when it pops up, they're not. This because this is craft on or navy on the back. If that bothers you, you could always uh, put gold on the back. I probably wouldn't because I like to save my gold card stock. But those who are less precious with their gold card stock probably would do just fine. So I think I'm just going to put this a little more than halfway up. And then if you do wind up with extra glue on the back, you can just wipe it off too. So that is that. And then I'm going to probably not put glue as much up the top, but pretty close. I'm just going to basically put the second tree on top of the first tree to make sure that they're lined up. But then also make sure I don't glue them together. But this is basically how the final card is going to look. So when popped up, we're just going to attach it with the star at the top. Just going to put a little glue on each side of the tab. So that we can basically mount the star all the way at the top, as one would with a tree. You can also, if you want, you can push this a little bit in so the star and the tree are more connected, which I think I will do because I kind of like the look. Then all you have to do is hold this. This is not going to glue super fast because we're gluing the non-porous surface of our tree. Then we have our little decor piece. And you can pop this all the way out like this or not. I mean, you can also keep this more folded flat if you want it to be more of a flat decor piece. I'm just going to go in, do another. Do we see any glue bits we really want to get off? Kind of time. There we go. And look at our other side. Oh, this is a prettier side. There we go. So this is our final little decor piece. You could leave one of these trees. Oh, this one's popping up. Let me just glue this back down quick. This one definitely has more of these sort of not quite connected pieces. So just FYI if you're playing with it. As compared with the two teardrop ornaments we've been playing with, which here now you can see how pretty this looks really pretty in real life when the light hits it. This I think would be really good like on a mantle or something, because if you had sort of lower light as one does during the holidays, you could definitely let it sort of catch the light from like a candle or a fireplace or something. And because it's so reflective, it would look super neat. And I do like this base. As you can see, the angle here is a little strange. Like it's a pretty wide angle based on the size of this. But if you wanted to, you could certainly mount this up a bit. Or keep it more flat. Whichever. You could also when you're assembling this, if you want it to be shorter, you could certainly cut it. You could put it in another score line too. Anyway, and then this folds pretty flat for not entirely, because these aren't entirely even, but oh, there we go. There we are. Now it folds flat. Okay. So now this folds flat. We could put this. Oh, this fell off. Oh dear. Let me just reglue that quick. Anyway, if it doesn't fall apart because you were being a little too aggressive with your glue, sort of like any pop-up, if you really want it to fold flat, your best option is to put it together flat and then, fold it right-wise. Fold it to its fluffier, to quote Sabrina. It's more fluffier option later on. But anyway, we have a fun little tree. I'm sure that this will be fun to give to someone or just use as a decor piece. So that is that. Let me just weight this down so that this finishes drying once we are done. But that is what we have today. I really like the decorative layer on this tree a lot, even though it's a little fussy. I think it would be good to just cut it out of like cardstock, but back it with adhesive to begin with. Oh, hey, Shanna, how are you? I hope you are well. And well, as soon as I wrap up, we will redirect over to Elizabeth's channel, or Sabrina is also going to be live on Scrappy Tales at the same time, or you can catch one or both on the replay. But anyway, look at how pretty this decorative layer is. Just super pretty. Although hopefully it won't be like a total nightmare to photograph, but we will hope for the best. Anyway, as always. Yes, it is. The base is a different die cut. Let me see if it has a name. They usually have names, but I believe it's like called the ornament base or something. It is called the A7 pop-up stand. So it makes both the inset pieces and this base piece. And in addition to the layers that we were using, it also comes with a decorative layer if you want something that's a little bit more fancy looking, which actually would have worked really well with the tree. I mean, I think the tree would look nice on fancier things as well. You of course don't need to connect them at the top. What you could do, you could just have a single one of these if you want. But anyway, it was great seeing you guys. This should redirect in as soon as I end the stream, and I will do that now so that you can get a snack and be over to watch whatever your 6 p.m. stream of choice is. And as always, it was great seeing you guys. I will be back tomorrow. We will be doing day number 6. Are we to 6 already? I guess we are. And we will see what that has in store. Anyway, great talking to you. I will see you tomorrow. Lennox says goodbye and meow, and he likes snacks. And we will see you later on. If I find my outro.